an unlawful contribution for political corruption, it's tracked right in the system. Red flag goes up. Bingo. They're caught. It's going to eliminate so much crime and corruption in government. It's phenomenal to behold once you get your brain around, what this means to have this one common monetary foundry automatically maintaining the accounts of the people. So that's all it is software, as I've said, interfacing with commerce and maintaining the accounts of the people as such. Now, once you have that ready, clever software engineers can explore the courses of accomplishing this object, which eliminates problems for us. What you could do is that you could basically allow support. Say a person has an account at bank XYZ, and so they have certain funds in there. What we're going to do in this transition is transfer the funds to the Common Monetary Foundry. So their money is still preserved to them, whether it exists only in electronic form, not in physical form, or whatever. Their money is transferred to the Common Monetary Foundry. We could also, in order to alleviate, because we're operating on minimal expenses to do this, if we were elected to government to do this, obviously we could spend a minuscule amount of money to print credit cards ourselves. But what we want to do is effectively have something along the lines of a credit card which represents our accounts. So when we go shopping, we're use it, to make our payments at the store, to automate the payments which are deducted from our accounts. You never even have to carry cash, and you never have to print cash, and you don't have to worry about cash being stolen from you. So anyway, we have two options. We can either print cards, these debit cards ourselves, or whatever facsimile to represent such an instrument, or we can accommodate, especially since present machinery processes these things at a store and whatnot. We can at the software level at the Common Monetary Foundry intercept all of these transactions. Instead of going to other banks, we have all of this mercantile software process it at our bank. You see, now to a non-software engineer that might sound like a challenge, but to a software engineer, we'd realize what we would do. That would say, say there's a certain company, company A that provides most of the point of sale software at the stores in Iceland. We have that company process all transactions against the Common Monetary Foundry instead of relating the transaction to any other bank. That would allow us to use the same cards that people already possess to interact with the Common Monetary Foundry. So as a result of this mandate, we either, if government is with us on this, we force the banks to transfer all of their accounts to our Common Monetary Foundry, and we maintain the records thereafter. And so we're virtually the storehouse for the people's money then. Now, likewise, people have debts to these banks. What we do to exercise and to challenge this legal principle, ostensible legal principle, that the banks purport justifies them laundering principal into their possession and multiplying it into terminal debt. We issue the bank then, each bank for the accounts of the people, our Common Monetary Foundry issues them a different kind of money, separate from what the people use, okay, which is, like the bank issues, an irredeemable promise to pay. And this was the fourth and final time we lost our connection during this discussion. I was watching at that time. Thus resolving...
we dropped out again?
Yeah. Thus resolving the purported debts to the banks. And if they want to challenge it, and your politician friends want to challenge it, fine. Come to the courts. Let's hear the arguments for this. And the arguments have already been documented in my work for years. And the banks, I've actually visited with international bankers 30 and 40 years ago who, I did some work for a woman one time who was a top executive in a bank in Europe. And, the people that put us together asked me, please, Mike, don't mention anything about mathematically perfected economy to this woman. We do not want you to offend her. She is one of our best clients, And, the thing is, when I met with this woman to do this work, we shook hands, and she said something which just begged for a response of mathematically perfected economy. And I just said a gentle thing, and her interest piqued, and then I elaborated on it for her. And the next thing you know, we're engaged in an hour plus conversation, as friendly can be about mathematically perfected economy and this crime of banking. And you know what she told me in the end of this? You're so right. This is what everyone in the world needs to understand. You are absolutely right about this. Of course, she'd been out of this for a couple, 3 years at the time that we met. But you see, these people know that this is wrong, and they have for a long time. Your politician friend was being evasive. I don't like that. As a person, you are owed an accountable answer, you see, because this crime is terminal. It takes everything from us. There is no excusing this, and there's no excusing being evasive about it at all. So anyway, this bank is largely software, and we basically move all the money from the current system that belongs to the people of Iceland into the accounts of the Common Monetary Foundry of Iceland, and then we just maintain the accounts from there on. In the meanwhile, issuing to the banking systems that claim these debts, including the Bank of, Netherlands and England, which claim these debts against you. Likewise, we issue them irredeemable promises to pay. Now, how do you think they've credited the accounts of their savings account holders who have purportedly lost on account of this collapse of the Bank of Iceland? Well, likewise, they issued irredeemable promises to pay. So their defense is the very crime they're going to complain about. There is no defense for it, you see. So we issue these irredeemable promises to pay merely as a formality to challenge them in court, and we welcome them to court. I've done this myself. The banks wouldn't show up. The banks never showed up to defend themselves. I tested this, in 1976. You see, and the thing is, the judge can't invalidate your claims that, this obfuscation causes inevitable failure, and the whole thing is unjust. No lawful consideration was ever given up. He's going to, unless he's an unjust judge, he's going to decide in your favor, and he may be an unjust judge. But then we, the people, can't settle for that. And this is why this mandate exercises all these provisions against that judge should he decide that. You see, we've leveled the playing field with this mandate. And there's, the banks know about my work. I can guarantee you that the Federal Reserve System has copies of the economic models that I provided the Reagan administration and used them to reduce interest rates in order to get this much lifespan out of this lie of economy. You see, they know about this. Now, if there was an argument that invalidated my claims, it would have surfaced long ago. Every one of these politicians has only turned and run, you see, and the reason is they don't have a defense. So this creation of this bank is largely software. Having software engineers in the room, we can understand it. That's a project that we can tackle. You decide the platform that you want to host it on. It could be Linux, it could be OS 10, it could be Windows, although I think I'd probably stay away from Microsoft, even though the best software development tools in the world are still Windows centric, But, so this is an SQL application which has simple accounting logic. It's not a large project. And so you can create this electronic bank and provide. You have to do your investigation of how you would transfer the funds from the banks of Iceland into this Common Monetary Foundry, and on the simplest level you could just say, okay, person X provides their monthly statement at such a time, and it says they have this account, a balance, and we are going to credit them that much from that point out. Now, should we later find by investigation that they had actually spent another $1,254 out of their account by the time they presented us the records of their account, then we will adjust their account accordingly, you see. So you give yourself a starting point and you leave open the way to rectify all this. So we're not giving people free money or free lunches or anything like that. We're not intending to do this. So you resolve the debts to the banks on this person's debts. Then suppose they own this $100,000 home with a 100-year lifespan, and they've paid against the home for 50 years, which means they've probably paid $200,000 out of $400,000 total eventual obligation toward a $100,000 principal. Under our transition, their debt is canceled out. They've overpaid on the principal, because we counted all prior payments of interest toward principal. So this person is immediately freed to the extent of their payments of their mortgage, to have free spending money, which of course increases prosperity immediately to that degree, puts people back to work, so on and so forth. Now, and that's pretty much all there is to it. You basically want a means of conveying transactions. You can go to a cashless society. If you want to use cash as well, then you print your money and you exchange it with this Common Monetary Foundry. And personally, because there are costs of publishing money and maintaining physical forms of money which wear out, get lost, etc., I personally would charge people for the published version of money. In other words, if you went to an automatic teller machine and you wanted $100, and all the automatic teller machines that existed in the country would be connected to your Common Monetary Foundry, it might cost let's just say 52 cents to publish that $100 into circulation, because that's what the paper and the ink and processing cost to get it to that ATM machine, so it will come out a slot into your hand. So when you withdraw $100 for whatever reason, it would cost you an extra 54 cents to cover the cost of issuing it. And that's all there is to it. You really don't need physical cash, but generally for corrupt purposes. Drug dealers, for instance, would object to this going to a cashless society because it denies them a way of conducting business which isn't part of the system in a way that it can be detected. You see, so they might be so many of them in your country that they insist, and the people say, well, we'll accommodate that, so okay, we'll do cash, and people pay 54 cents for every $100 bill that's issued into circulation. It probably costs more like a nickel, to print that bill. But whatever you decide to do, that's up to the discretion of each individual, country. So once that bank exists, what is this impetus for the people which would compel them to subscribe to mathematically perfected economy implemented through this Common Monetary Foundry? Well, number one, we just paid off their mortgage. Okay. Number two, all the people that don't opt, as individuals, we're requiring that they pay